Good afternoon and welcome again to the Hannover Messe Hydrogen Fuel Cells Batteries Group exhibit. This afternoon I'll be speaking with Mr. Calum McConnell, who's the Managing Director at ITM Power, but who is here on behalf of the Hydrogen and Fuel Cell Initiative Hessen. Thank you very much for joining us this afternoon.
Hi.
Hello.
Good afternoon.
Thank you.
Hi there.
So the name of our topic today that we'll be discussing is the role of the regional networks in facilitating hydrogen and fuel cell technology uptake, the example of the Hydrogen and Fuel Cell Initiative Hessen.
Could you say that one more time?
Oh my God, and with my accent. Can you tell us a little bit about the initiative, first of all?
Okay, the Hessen Agentur is the business development leg or the arm of the county of Hessen, so the state of Hessen, and within that part, the business development side of it, they have various initiatives. One of which is the H2BZ, which hydrogen Brennstoffzellen,
yes.
or hydrogen and fuel cells in English. And the idea is to promote the technology. So let's say the mass of people in Hessen know about this much, and they should know this much. So it's to try and make it a more popular topic. Find ways to put it in front of people, whether it be buses, cars, you name it, to get it in their faces, to network people. So the broader goal, make it popular. That would be
your role. And you are a newbie, I hear, as a board member. So how do you come to do that?
So I joined actually ITM in December last year, and I'm the follower from the previous MD who was on the board, and I was asked if I would take over his role. So I slipped in effectively the back door and joined the active board members as the newbie, so to bring new eyes, to bring some fresh ideas into it. Sometimes shake the tree a little bit and ask why. I have the privilege of being able to ask why quite a few times, which is quite nice, because they have to give me an answer. So why do we do that then? Yeah, we've always done that. Yeah, but why?
Yeah.
So that's why.
So there are to us the tough questions.
They can be. The questions are easy, the answers I'm noticing are quite tough sometimes.
That's good. What are the objectives of the initiative?
Specifically, I think I've put it more in connection with the actions we do. If you're in the energy industry, people know about hydrogen, people know about energy storage, how to place the various options that let's say the storage can offer the energy industry. If you're not, and let's say you're a bus operator, you're getting pressure from the local environment, the local government, from the local public, to make your buses cleaner, to put out less CO2, all of the things that are in the news and in the media all of the time, but you really have no idea how to do it. You're not born an energy person just because you're a bus operator or a taxi fleet operator. So the Hessen Agentur and the H2BZ kind of offer the first port of call to help people get information, to put them in contact with people, companies, organizations, institutions that can help them on a journey of winning knowledge, putting it into action, and then saying, okay, well, we've got a plan. How do we actually do it, and where do we get money? So pulling in funds from whether it be local government or national funds or European funds, and kind of helping them direct themselves through this journey of becoming environmentally friendlier than they were yesterday. So that would be one example to say what we do and what the purpose is to help them do that.
And how does anyone get in touch with you?
Quite often it's via the internet.
Your website?
Yeah, they're searching for something if they're in Hessen. So they're looking to the local government saying, well, I wonder if they have anything. Yeah. And they land relatively quickly in the H2BZ site. A lot of it's word of mouth. So the 70 members that we have, it's growing, and they talk to people and they can get involved with projects, and one bus operator talks to another bus operator, or one fleet operator, or one hospital, or one town, and it grows. So it's not just the internet, but certainly if you're looking at one individual, what's the most popular? Probably the internet.
The internet, of course. How does the initiative implement their objectives?
Again, a combination of activities, combination of efforts. There's no one sitting on the board who's paid to sit there, so it's all about ideologists who are waving the flag. So it has a natural tendency, because everyone's motivated to do it, to flow quite easily. But if I look at a working group, for example, if we see there's a need for people to know something, we'll build a working group and try and approach with that working group that entity and persuade them this is something we can do together. We can help you. We can hold your hand. We have a consultant. We have a lawyer. We have people with experience, and that's kind of guiding them along this journey.
It's pretty hands-on from the minute the idea comes to the minute it's implemented. Is pretty fast, we would say.
It can be fast, depending on the project, some of the projects are a bit bigger than others. As a good example, a local town approached the Hessen agency, or the H2BZ, and said, we're thinking about making our town more green. How can we do it? We've heard about redox flow batteries and power to gas, and we really have no idea what that means for us, but we have a nice idea. Can you kind of guide us to what are the next steps in our process? So we kind of pulled ourselves together as board members and got a wind guy, a lawyer, to come in and say, oh, well, this is kind of where it can go, and you'll need to do this, and you'll need to talk to your local electricity provider in your local town, and there's probably one next to you that you'll need to talk to too, and try and build coalitions of that.
Thank you very much. It seems like it's quite, I'd say, user-friendly. When you mentioned the bus drivers, I can talk to bus drivers. We can talk to anyone.
We'll talk to anybody who's interested in listening about hydrogen and beat the drum.
Which are the highlights? Which highlights are currently on the initiative's agenda?
So the upcoming ones, I would say the biggest personal highlight is probably the car project we're involved in. So we have 2 fuel cell cars. The initiative's buying or bought the cars. One will be more connected to the members, VIPs, people in connection with the members. So if you, for instance, said, I'm thinking about landing in Frankfurt and I have a delegation of interested parties, and you know me, then I can book the car and then we can give it to you for whatever the number of days you have. The other option, this is a little bit more interesting because it's a wider publicum that we'll reach, there's a company in Frankfurt called Book and Drive, which is a car
what's the name again?
Book and Drive,
Okay.
a car sharing company.
Yeah.
They have 32,000 customers, typically trendy, typically upbeat. They're willing to do something that the older generations don't necessarily do, is they don't buy a car, they just need a car, go on the net, book their car for an hour or a day or whatever, and the H2BZ is giving this organization a fuel cell car for them to put on their internet site, so that the average customer can then book it. Obviously with some marketing, with some PR, the car will have nice hydrogen and H2BZ, and to just try and get it out there in and around Frankfurt to make people go, oh, it's an electric car, but it's not a battery.
Yes.
It's not the end of the world. It's not going to blow up. It's not the Hindenburg. It's a safe vehicle.
And it's quite a really nice opportunity to have as a consumer to be able to be exposed to that.
And 32,000 customers that are willing to take on new technology, and hopefully spread the word. Facebook and all of these things that the young generation tend to do normally is to use some of this. And to be a multiplier. So the H2BZ and the Hessen Agentur, it's kind of limited in its reach. We don't typically talk to 32,000 people driving cars, and this is a good way to reach them.
What is, if you were to think of a challenge that you may encounter, what would that be?
In respect to the cars?
In respect more to the initiative, I would say.
Funding. Some of the ideas that we have are quite expensive, and because it's a group of people who are giving their free time to the initiative, some of it's quite time intensive too. So one thing is the money. If we had an endless supply, we could possibly give it to a logistics company and say, we'd like to do that, please organize it for us. Other times you get involved yourself and you're pulling on resources. My resource, I'm the MD for ITM in Germany, and my boss is a really nice guy, but if I spend 20 hours a week working for the agency,
he may notice.
Yeah, he might start thinking, well, why do we employ him? And it's the same with the other guys. So it's a time resource. That's probably the biggest challenge. Probably even more than the money, but the money is a part of it. So some of the things are expensive. Pulling people together to do workshops, to do groups, to do large events, it is always a challenge.
To get the word out. I know you're, again, the newbie on the board, but from your time since you've been there, what any success stories that you can think of, top of mind?
It happened before my time, or it's happening at the moment, which is there are 11 buses coming online over the next months in the Rhine-Main area, so the Rhine-Main rivers, so those cities pretty much along there.
Yes.
They're kind of being guided, people on the board involved in this project to help them along. And I think when we get 11 buses on the road in and around a small area of Germany, it's setting a pole in the ground or a stake in the ground to say it's possible.
Yes.
And then other cities around Hessen are starting to look at that and saying, well, if it could be done there, could it be done in my city too? So that's probably the biggest event now. If you ask me in 2 months, 3 months, when the Toyota Mirai is on the ground with Book and Drive, then I would say that should be pretty good too.
We'll check then. At this moment, I like to ask if anyone has any questions from the audience I could come by. If not, I can come by later. Could you tell me, apart from, I guess, highlights, what's the initiative's target audience or target group?
I think over the last months, the largest target group would probably be town municipalities, town governments, road or infrastructure planning in a town. If we're thinking about, let's say we're going to e-mobility in a town, that will take a certain amount of infrastructure change. So they have to understand what that means, and they're weighing up, do I go for battery buses or do I go for a different vehicle? And what does that mean for my town? So helping them, let's say, on that journey.
Yep.
Therefore, it's people like that in the local municipalities that are facing this challenge and looking for assistance. So it's probably the biggest group as a single entity
that you're targeting. And what does, more personally, I guess, what's your impression or your first impressions of the situation with Hessen?
Thanks. It's exciting to be part of it. There's a lot of activity going on. There's a lot of companies in and around as well, not just the Rhine-Main. Everyone thinks that Hessen ends at the end of Frankfurt and that area. It's not. It's a big area. There's a lot going on. It is exciting. It's very active. The Hessen Agentur is very much standing behind this with their own staff as well. So there are members of staff that we can use to help. So it's not just the freebies. We do have some staff within the agency that we can use as well, and they're very good at organizing. I think if I look at other areas around, sort of going beyond Hessen, there are some very active states in Germany, and there are some states that are not as active as Hessen. But you said it, I'm the newbie, so again, ask me in a year, and maybe I'm fully aware that actually all 16 states are in the same line. I have the feeling that Hessen is certainly one of the leading states at the moment, but not the only one, thank God.
Not the only one at all. Is there anything that you would like for people to take away from our conversation today?
Bearing in mind that most people sitting in this audience are connected to the orange, so they know what hydrogen is.
Yes.
So take the message that e-mobility is not about batteries, it's electricity, and how I get the electricity into the electrical motors. It doesn't have to be a battery. That e-mobility in connection with batteries will not be the savior of everything. The new world of 80 to 100% renewables on the grid, it's not short-term with batteries. There is a journey that we are on within the hydrogen world, power to gas in various forms, whether it be power to hydrogen, taking the hydrogen and turning it into methane, putting the hydrogen in pumps, whatever. It's part of that journey. The gas network, the old-fashioned fossil fuel gas network that we all think, take on board the infrastructure, take on this as part of, but we need to use that to get to there. This is not a 2 or 3 year march. This is a 20, 30, 40-year journey that we're on to move into a new world, and there are lots of things we need to take on board. And the power to gas, and therefore hydrogen, is an important part of that. It's becoming more important. It's becoming more visible in the eyes of the politicians.
True.
A lot of the parties are starting to take on this power to gas in various forms in their manifestos. We'll see, hopefully in September onwards, that they do bring it into the, let's say, the next legislative period in Germany. Fingers crossed.
Fingers crossed.
And that the power to gas will be seen as, it's not just batteries. So my closing words, hydrogen is an important point. It's CO2 free, and there's lots of it in the form of water. So it makes sense to use the environmental options that we have, and to use the wind, solar, etc., and turn it into something useful over the 24-hour period.
Exactly. Well, thank you so much to Calum McConnell, board member at Hydrogen and Fuel Cell Initiative Hessen, and their booth is booth number B69, which is really close to us. So if you need any more information about the initiative, any more materials, in fact, he's also there.
Ask that gentleman too. The gentleman, with his hand up. He's belonging to the Hessen Agentur, and he's on their stand.
Fantastic. Thank you so much for joining us.
Pleasure. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thanks a lot.
And up next, I have my colleague Michael, I believe, coming up. And he will be having a discussion with Michelin, ITM Power, fuel cells and hydrogen joint undertaking, and with Siemens. And the name of the talk is Fuel Cells and Hydrogen in the Economy, Industry Perspectives. Thank you very much.